Welcome back to Problematic Women. Guys, we have such a great episode for you this week because Trump has been very busy securing peace in the Middle East. I know he made a joke about that last week at a press conference. He was like, I gotta secure peace in the Middle East. Thought he was joking. He was being so serious because Israel and Hamas have agreed to a ceasefire, release of all the hostages. We will break everything down, including reactions from the right and the left. Also on today's episode, we're going to talk about Charlie Kirk being awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom, and also some spicy texts leaked from the Young Republicans Telegram group chat and why it's actually kind of a nothing burger of a story compared to what's going on the Democrat side. They're in free fall. We all know that. We're going to break it all down today on Problematic Women. Welcome back. I am Elise McHugh.
I'm Crystal Bonham.
And I'm Morgan.
How are you guys doing?
Good. I'm doing.
It's very fall vibes.
I know, absolutely.
I brought a little bit of summer vibes, but I have a sweater, so I'm like in between.
What's your guys' favorite go-to fall piece? Because I think it's this sweater for me, honestly.
I honestly was gonna say leopard. For me, it's
having a moment
print,
right now too.
Especially this a fur leopard.
Yeah,
that's me.
Yeah, I mean my staple fall dress is my Tucker Nut Chloe dress. Like they're really shaped. The
classic.
Yes,
a classic.
You dropped the link. I've been meaning to get one every single fall now. Have not bought one yet, so maybe this will be the fall.
This is it.
There's a Tucker Neck here in DC, so you kind of have to.
Maybe we'll have to go. Problematic Women
Field
takes
trip.
on Tucker Neck. Not sponsored.
I
Would
hate
love
that.
it.
That sounds terrible.
But people on Capitol Hill, the fashion scene it's a little dire sometimes. But who always looks great in a suit? Trump, especially when he's doing something very consequential. That was a great transition. And let's just hop right into what happened this week. He announced that he secured a peace deal between Israel and Hamas. The final remaining 20 hostages were released. Unfortunately, they were all men. No women survived that last flow of that. And it was just crazy to see all this happen so quickly. He's only been in office for 9 months. What was your guys' initial reactions when you heard that this happened?
I mean, honestly, I was kind of shocked, but also excited, especially since I feel like peace in the Middle East has been thrown around so many times. And I remember talking about this a couple weeks ago of the Biden administration was in office for 4 years and was never able to secure a peace deal. They were never able to really get many hostages out of this crazy situation since October 7th. And so actually seeing a president in power who could make it happen and secure a peace deal and actually get to the ceasefire decision, I think was something that everyone on both sides should be cheering for, but obviously we're seeing the opposite.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, you saw in his first administration, really, this is the culmination of a long effort to secure peace in the Middle East, right? Like the Abraham Accords, the first go around. There was a lull there during the Biden administration, to your point, Morgan, and then back full speed ahead. I mean, the president's team that he's assembled to do these negotiations is just top notch.
Well, they've never stopped working since day one. And I think that's something that the Trump administration is vastly different than what we've seen for years on the left, whether it's the Obama administration or the Biden administration, is Trump's actually in there signing documents, making sure that the work is getting done foreign countries wise, and I think that's something that should be praised.
Absolutely. And it's also the fact that you can contrast what Biden did to take care of the situation and what Trump's doing. We talk about this a lot on the Daily Signal side with Victor Davis Hanson's daily podcast, but he has really hammered in on the point that Biden would deride and wag his finger at the Middle East and be like, you guys are awful, what you're doing is so bad, and that was his big grand strategy. But Trump, we see the art of the deal come out really, and he treats them with respect. He gives them really great tariff and trade deals, and that's how you really negotiate peace. And he really
economic
is a
strategy.
businessman.
That's what it is.
He really is a businessman, and you remember that in moments like this. So for people who did not see what Trump said when he announced this peace deal, this is what he said on Truth Social. All of the hostages will be released very soon, which we saw that they were released, and Israel will withdraw their troops to an agreed-upon line as the first steps towards a strong, durable, and everlasting peace. He keeps going. Blessed are the peacemakers, President Donald J. Trump. I love the way that he uses his social media, Truth Social, to make the most important and consequential announcements of his administration. He's just tweeting on his own platform.
But then also, low-key, I like the pat on the back.
Yeah.
Blessed are the peacemakers.
Blessed are the peacemakers.
Me.
Yeah. I love it.
No, but it's been so great just seeing all of the videos of people being reunited. One of the hostages that I remember this video is just burned in my brain when I first saw it. Her name is Noah, and she was taken from her boyfriend from the Nova Music Festival on October 7th. And I actually believe that we have the clip right here of them being separated. It was really harsh. So let's go run that. And then to contrast that, we have a clip of her and her boyfriend finally being reunited after, 2 years since this happened?
2 years, yeah.
And it was really just a touching moment. So we'll run that here.
جماني حبيبتك حبيبي خلص.
Wow. And I think it's important to rewatch the first clip just so you can remember. It was 2 years ago. That's when we all first saw it. It's easy to forget, but like that is something that they never thought that they would see again, let alone us. What do you guys think when you first saw that?
It's so encouraging but heartbreaking at the same time because
Yeah.
it's 2 years of these people's lives that they will never get back, right? And I mean, when you're talking about this is a boyfriend and girlfriend, like it's so great that they're, reunited like this and still obviously cared so deeply for each other. But I'm like, think about, I don't know, former relationship, if you will, and you're like 2 years go by and you're like, oh, like, of course I love this person. But like,
Yeah.
to see that was just so touching.
That's a very like heartwarming moment, especially knowing that every single person who was held hostage was an innocent human being. Like they weren't IDF soldiers that were on the front line that were like, taken
They didn't
by
sign up for
terrorists.
this.
Like these were innocent humans. And I think that's something that, I recognize between all kind of hostage situations is especially when they're innocent people, whatever side they're on, like terrorists taking innocent people as hostages is not okay. And I even think of like even some of our military men that have been held hostage in prison encampments by terrorists. And like, obviously that's a little different, but it just, the hostage situation, I think just really is more emotional because you're seeing emotionally how these people have been treated and physical treatment. And so seeing them be released, I know that everyone is just really excited about that.
Absolutely, especially when you think of what they've gone through and just the hostage videos and them being forced to say really horrible things and admit really horrible things that they just truly don't believe in. It feels so vindicating to finally see them get their peace. And Donald Trump actually spoke on this past week. So we have a clip of what he had to say about this peace deal.
This is the day that people across the region and around the world have been working, striving, hoping, and praying for. They have done things over the last month that I think were really unthinkable. Nobody thought this could happen. With the historic agreement we've just signed, those prayers of millions have finally been answered. As you know, the hostages have been returned, and further work goes on having to do with the, sadly to say, bodies. Together we've achieved what everybody said was impossible. At long last, we have peace in the Middle East, and it's a very simple expression, peace in the Middle East, and we've heard it for many years, but nobody thought it could ever get there, and now we're there. And I want to congratulate everybody sitting in these first few rows. And
Wow. It's just like spoken like a true leader. And I know that he's riffed off this in a lot of his public appearances this week, but he really just exemplifies peace through strength. That's my big takeaway from this. And he talks about this a little bit longer, and phase 2 of this peace deal is expected to include a permanent end to the war and disarming of Hamas. I don't really know how that goes down, but
What are the details there? To be determined.
To be determined.
It would be very legendary. I mean, honestly, historic if this really does go out to plan of exactly what this administration has in mind for what the peace deal looks like. Obviously, there's a lot of history that has to play. There's a lot of differences of religions. And then you have the Gaza Strip and the West Bank versus the territories of Israel, like political versus more, I consider them like religious territories type of thing. So it's going to be very interesting. I don't know. I am so excited about it, and I want this to happen and it to be genuinely peaceful. But still, I don't know. I feel a little bit of apprehensions, a little bit of like, how is this going to play out?
Anything that goes on with the Middle East, right? Where it's like, oh, you want to be optimistic, but also there's just we have such a history in the region.
It's such
the
a
region
tension-filled
itself has such a
area.
history. There's a spiritual component to your point, Morgan. Like you want to be hopeful, but you're also like, ooh, 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
It's
Like,
a
let's see
little
how this
hard
plays
to be
out.
full in. I don't know. Like, it's something that I've just
This is
felt
a
like,
tough one.
especially with Middle Eastern issues. I've been to Israel. I went 3 or 4 years ago at this point. It's a beautiful land. I would love to go back. Like, it's something that I do feel like needs to be preserved is the Holy Land. But then, like, so many of the political issues, geopolitical issues, like, there's just it's a lot more complex than I think people really understand.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of my favorite moments from this week, Trump talking about this, not even during this press conference, it was about something completely unrelated. But he goes, there was conflict there for 3,000 years, and I ended it in 9 months. Blessed are the peacemakers. And I was like, yeah, I
Honestly,
mean,
real for that.
real. I don't know, but we'll
pretty
see.
much the entire English-speaking world praising President Trump for this.
Yeah.
Except for the left.
Except for the
these
left.
crazies who are like, "Ugh, but it's not good enough. What about Palestine? What about Gaza? What about the government shutdown?
Well, I'll tell you about Gaza.
It's great that there's peace, but like, can you fix our government?
I'll tell you about Gaza. They're going out rounding up people and executing them just because they're suspected of having like facilitated this peace deal with Israel and just like conspiring with them. That's what's happening on the Gaza Strip. It's very unfortunate, but no. Like the left is holding onto their scruples with this. I even saw someone on Twitter take a picture of a sign posted, like a sticker posted on a like lamp pole at a college, and it was like, this isn't enough. We want the total and complete eradication of the state of Israel.
Right. I mean, their goal is known.
Yeah.
Right. They're just.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with like the Hamas encampments that we saw on college campuses and the continuation of the pushing of the pro-Palestine movement is it's very harmful because it's kind of all or nothing. Like they don't want to meet to a middle ground of having a peace deal. It is for them, it's nope, I want you all gone, all eradicated. There is no such thing as peace. And I just find that so shocking because even Democrat lawmakers aren't speaking out. And sure, if you disagree with Trump, you don't like the administration, you don't have to praise him necessarily, but you can praise the idea
concept,
and the fact that a peace deal was made while you're a sitting member of Congress, while you're a sitting senator.
This
and I
actually
think
reflects well on you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Embrace it.
If you promote that and go to your constituents, go to your areas and say, look, I don't support President Trump, but this actually is a really positive thing. And I think that the left and the Democrats need to figure their ish out because it's just disrespectful.
Credit where credit's due. Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, and Joe Biden all praised Trump specifically by name for achieving this deal. People who didn't, a lot of sitting U.S. senators and congressmen, Barack Obama, they're all just like, I'm so glad that this happened.
Yeah.
Very passive voice-esque. Their English teachers would be very displeased with that. But
The
it's
master
just,
orator has no words.
I know, seriously. And it's just like they're never going to be happy. So I hope that they just fizzle out best case scenario because I really don't know what there is to scream about anymore. And honestly, I don't know what my life is going to look like without seeing a random Free Palestine rally or a Palestine flag at a concert. Like, what is it going to look like once they have nothing to talk about?
The funny part is I've never actually seen a solution given by the left side of what does the eradication of Israel look like? Like, do you...
Well, for a long time, their
it
prized
just
possession
vibes?
was
Like-
like the two-state solution. That was like their big thing for a long time. It was, if we have a two-state solution, like, we'll be satisfied. Like, leave us alone or, make whatever.
we
the
have
whole
our
thing.
side, you have your side.
Yeah, but like to your point earlier, at least we know that they're anti-Semitist. Like at the end of the day, they don't want a two-state solution.
care.
They want to eradicate the Jewish population.
Yeah,
Full
and
stop.
it's not even
It's
a
evil.
secret. Like last year, I went to a pro-Hamas, not like a pro-Palestine rally here in DC. It felt like a pro-Hamas riot here in DC. Talked to so many of them. Someone put the effort into making a makeshift guillotine, and they're like, "Oh, I'm going to do this to Benjamin Netanyahu," and just all these things that they don't know what they want as a solution. They just know that they don't want Israel to exist, and I'm just like, you gotta be more informed if you're going to be out there controlling the left wing part of the Democrat Party. They're listening to these people, these radical people. So really, it's just irresponsible on their part. But hopefully now it fizzles out. And it's really special to see all this happen this week, because this is something specifically that Charlie Kirk really wanted to see. And unfortunately, he did not get to see this, but I'm sure he's seeing it up from heaven. And this week would have been his 32nd birthday, and he was commemorated with the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the highest honor you can get. And that was just such a beautiful ceremony. Morgan, as a member of Turning Point USA family, what was this like this week, seeing this happen?
I mean, it was very emotional, especially him being awarded the Medal of Freedom on his birthday. Even Erica, in her speech, said, you know, it's always difficult to find a birthday present for your husband, especially Charlie isn't necessarily the materialistic guy. And praised Trump, was like, you know, I think this is the best birthday present that Charlie would have ever wanted to receive. And I thought that was beautiful. But I think for everyone at Turning Point, with myself included, it's just been a very emotional and but also like historic and celebratory week. Actually, at Turning Point headquarters, they had a birthday cake for Charlie and cupcakes, which was really cute, in Arizona, and had just a whole celebration in his honor on the same day that the Medal of Freedom was given. I know some of people were actually at the White House there at the ceremony, which was beautiful. And it just reminds you of the important things in life and continues to just reflect light on his assassination, his murder. And I think it's something that we will always need to continue talking about. And I'm hopeful that the left saw this. You know, we saw Hillary Clinton and people receive the Medal of Freedom, but showing like how important and what an honor this really is. And something really special about Charlie's medal is there was a video where Erica flipped it over on the back, and it's the first time that a cross has been engraved on the Medal of Freedom on the back of it ever before.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So really beautiful, because more than being a freedom fighter and more than speaking the truth, he spoke biblical truths, and I believe was a martyr for Christian faith. And so seeing that recognized as well by the White House was really beautiful.
And that's what he wanted, right?
Yeah.
You know, we've all seen the interview over and over and over again where they ask what he wants to be remembered for his courage and his faith.
And everyone recognizes that. During his speech, President Trump said, and he made sure to hammer in on this point, President Trump said that Charlie Kirk was a fighter for Judeo-Christian values, and he really embodied that. And that is just like the one identifier of Charlie Kirk's legacy, if nothing else. And we have a bunch of clips from this, but I really want to just run this one clip of President Trump talking about Charlie Kirk's legacy, especially as it relates to Turning Point USA.
Charles James Kirk was a visionary and one of the greatest figures of his generation. He was truly an amazing figure, and growing leaps and bounds. He knew that the fight to preserve our heritage is waged not only on the battlefield and in the halls of power, of which we have tremendous power here, including the head of a place called war. We call it now war. We had defense. We had our Secretary of Defense. Now we have a Secretary of War. And somehow I think it's more emblematic, and hopefully we'll never have to use war. But the fact that we're ready is very good. Peace through strength is very important. But also in the hearts of our nation's youth, that's where Charlie rode strongest. At age 18, that insight inspired Charlie to found the organization that ultimately touched the lives of millions and millions of people, and so many young people that nobody's ever seen anything like it, frankly. Turning Point USA. It's amazing. And it's actually bigger now. It's become bigger in the last few weeks than Charlie ever thought.
Wow. And he
So true.
He kept talking about war. We have a Department of War. Hopefully we never have to use it. But then he immediately started talking about the war for our youth. And that is so true now more than ever. I know it feels like we're getting a lot of wins culturally as conservatives, but there is like a huge spiritual war being fought every single day for the future of our nation, honestly. And it feels more existential than anything that I've experienced.
And I think that the American people, and Gen Z specifically, are understanding the gravity of not only Charlie's death, but also the war that we are fighting on these college campuses, because we would not have received the hundreds of thousands of requests and inquiries and merch orders and millions of views on these videos and hundreds of thousands of people coming to his memorial if America wasn't changing. And I think that that is the positive out of all of this over the last now over a month, which is crazy,
Yeah.
is seeing how the American people have responded to it. And that's something like even at Turning Point, we are all trying to get these chapters chartered. We are working with our staff, I feel like every hour of the day. No one's sleeping. Everyone's working tirelessly because we see the hunger for it. And we know that, we're going to be the ones to get those chapters started on these high school and college campuses so that these students have a resource to go to.
I think that's so important because conservatives and Christians generally will capitalize on an opportunity one moment, but then we kind of squander it after a while. Like we're really good at moving to red states and getting comfortable and Texas is always going to be red. I'm safe here. And then the woke starts to creep in and you're like, no, you always have to be on offense. Right. And I think that's something that Charlie embodied, which is what makes his legacy being cemented in history like this so incredible because it's just a reminder that we can't take a day off. No. The second we take any time off, the second we let off the gas at all, the enemy will creep in and take as much ground as he can. Yeah. And so it's like, we get to work.
And we do have the upper hand here, especially in the United States government currently, politically, culturally, we have the upper hand. We just have to continue to push that momentum and lean on each other. And that's something that Charlie was always very keen on was surround yourself with like-minded conservatives, go to your Turning Point meetings, go to Young Republicans, whatever it is, surround yourself with people that will uplift you and who agree with you so that you can go out there and disagree with other people, but you have to have that support system.
Absolutely. And at this event, at every event that she's gone to since the passing of Charlie Kirk, his wife, Erica Kirk, has really just risen to the occasion, been a superstar that no one is expecting her to be because this is such a rough time, but she absolutely kills it. And she is just carrying on his legacy better than anyone could. She's the only person who could do this. And she had some very touching words to say about Charlie on his birthday, especially from her daughter.
I'll share with you that I asked our daughter what she would like to say to Daddy for his birthday. Excuse me. She said, "Happy birthday, Daddy. I want to give you a stuffed animal. I want you to eat a cupcake with ice cream, and I want you to go have a birthday surprise. I love you," is what she said.
Gigi is the sweetest little girl ever. Yeah. And she would give Charlie her stuffed animals. You probably have seen on the Charlie Kirk show, the little stuffed animals have sometimes they change. And it's just so cute. Even Erica, when she spoke at the Young Women's Leadership Summit, she brought up Gigi's little stuffed animal and put it on because she asked me to put it here. So he's making an appearance and here he is. And I just think that it just shows their family and how much they love their kids and how much their kids love them as parents, and just their family unit is something that is irreplaceable.
And I think it's what's been so there's not words to describe. It's encouraging. It's trauma. It's everything, every emotion you can feel is seeing Erica live out this grief so publicly, and that she's willing to let us into that, willing to let the American public in to her pain.
Absolutely.
Right? Because I think generally as an American society, we're very shut off in that regard. But she is living out and not afraid to exemplify what it looks like to grieve and normalizing that.
Absolutely.
It's okay.
And it feels like whenever we have the privilege to get to see her and the Turning Point community and just the conservative movement rebuild after this, it really galvanizes this movement. And it shows we're not just a pity party. We cannot squander this opportunity. It's not, oh, this is energy, a light under our butts, but it's no, we actually cannot squander this or else this would be for nothing. And Charlie Kirk's assassination would be for nothing if we don't use this opportunity. And it's just so unfortunate to see the rise of left-wing violence. I'm not going to say it's a both sides thing. I've never said it was a both sides thing. And I don't think many Democrats can say this is a both sides thing.
They can try, but it's just patently untrue.
I mean, they're trying to say it's a both sides thing with this Young Republicans group chat, which we'll get to later. It's such an insane story with how nothing burger it is. Also, can we talk about nothing burger? I think that's such a funny phrase. It's so American. What if a burger was nothing? Nothing burger. Anyway, but sorry, I just been thinking about that a lot. But
It's really what keeps me up at night.
no, seriously, it's just you want a glimpse into my mind. But anyway, we see this rise of political violence on the left, and we saw this be a central talking point this past week with the Virginia gubernatorial debate between Abigail Spanberger, Democrat Abigail Spanberger, and my girl Winsome Earl Sears. Wow. Like, I think some of the best parts of this debate weren't when Winsome Earl Sears was talking, but when Abigail Spanberger wasn't talking. And we have that right here. It's so insane. So let's roll that clip.
Would it take him pulling the trigger? Is that what would do it? And then you would say he needs to get out of the race? Abigail, you have nothing to say? Abigail, what if he said it about your 3 children? Is that when you would say he should get out of the race, Abigail? You're running to be governor.
Miss Earl Sears.
I mean, we're talking about murder. We're talking about someone's life being taken from them. Have you nothing to say about that? Are you not going to address it? Really, you can't go any further. You're a governor. You're supposed to stand up for all the people. Are you saying political murder is all right? Have some political courage. What you have done is you are taking political calculations about your future as governor. Well, as governor, you have to make hard choices, and that means telling Jay Jones to leave the race.
Yeah, so this
Great
was
ad.
just one of the best political ads I've ever seen. Didn't have to sparkle it up. There were no scripts. It was just like, this is this psychotic woman, not even looking at her, not even giving her the decency to look at her when she's talking to her. Clearly she has thoughts because she's writing down something.
She's like, where's my invisibility cloak? I want to disappear.
No, it's so insane. And like, again, Jay Jones referring to the leaked text messages from 2022 of the AG candidate for the Democrats, Jay Jones, saying that he wants to murder his GOP rival and his children.
Which
So insane.
And that's like the part that angers me the most is there are pretty much no Democrats that are condemning this specifically. They're not calling for him to drop out of the race at all. It's kind of just silence on the left when a current person who is running for AG, a very powerful position
The
in
top
Virginia.
cop. The
in
top
Virginia.
cop, yeah.
Yes. And calling for not political violence, actual violence, saying, no, I want these people dead.
Yeah.
To kill them. Like, that is beyond. I've yet to see conservatives say that about their opponents on the left. And that's what just shows like the stark difference between the two. And the fact that Spanberger can't even acknowledge it. And I know in a question that she was asked about it, she just said, like, well, I'm a different candidate than him. Like, I'm focusing on my race. Yeah, you guys are going to work together. Governors and AGs work together. They're running on the same ticket.
I mean, your name is on the sign
can't
together.
Condemn that. And it's wild.
It is absolutely wild to see this. Were you watching this debate live as it happened?
I watched it live as it happened, and honestly, that interaction, right, I was just jaw to the floor. I was like, Spanberger's taking a beating.
I know.
Like, how does she recover from this?
like,
I mean,
can't-
the numbers right now are a little iffy. We'll see. Like, Miara's had a crazy swing. He's way ahead now, which is great.
Spanbergers are going down on a decline, but I will say it's going to take like every Republican in Virginia showing up and actually voting in this election, which will be hard, but everyone really needs to show up and do their part.
I'm really glad to see a lot of conservative influencers on social media who don't live in Virginia, are not affected by this gubernatorial race in the slightest, talk about this, highlight this, and highlight it beyond the day that this happened. Like, you keep seeing this come up, and it's just like, we really need to be aggressive on the offensive, like you were saying, about this messaging, because it's like, this person is going to be in charge of your life, and it really is just... She's gonna let trans people into your kids' bathrooms.
yeah,
and she's
she's
gonna
the
let.
worst.
She's also okay with her own daughters, apparently.
I know. I've seen a lot of her messaging come out in the following days about Winsome Earl Sears wants to take away your abortion rights. He's really hammering in on that.
I was just thinking about that. I'm like, do you ever get Democrat political ads?
Oh, all the
Like,
time.
it
All the
boils
time.
my blood, but I'm also like, yes, spend your money on me.
I think someone's
It's not gonna work.
I think someone in college hated me and signed me up for a bunch of Democrat text listservs, and I can't unsubscribe. So if you're hate watching this, whoever did it, you succeeded. That really sucks.
Reply stop to all.
I know, and
That's
it's so
me.
much effort. But then I'm like, wait, what if they say something radical and I get to
kind of funny
on the listserv? But no, it's crazy because she's really hammering in on this abortion point, and like unfortunately, that's always going to be something that liberal women will get out and vote for. But I'm just like, do you? I mean, we're all conservative, so I know we all agree on this, but like genuinely, do you guys think that Abigail Spanberger can win this thing with her current messaging and the controversies?
Unfortunately, I do think she will still win, and I hate it, but Northern Virginia is just radically blue, and that's why it's really going to take like every conservative to get to the ballot boxes, and then I think it would be possible for Winsome to win. But unfortunately, I think that this race is just as close as it is, and as honestly just left versus right as it is, radical versus sane as it is. There is a big possibility there. And even like her not even condemning Jay Jones, and many of the other Democrats running on that same ticket aren't condemning the messages. It just shows like this is where the left kind of is in our nation right now.
And it's really frustrating because so much early voting has already happened.
Yeah.
That it's like, if you voted for her, and you're kind of middle of the ground, or, you know, just kind of a normal person, and you see this and you're like, oh, crap.
Yeah.
Your
Like,
vote's
what do you
in.
do? Yeah,
Like, you
I know.
can't change
You know,
it. Yeah.
we got to change these. How do we have early voting for like ever and ever and ever?
Yeah.
I know. And also just like
Insane.
one last thing on this clip, because like it just baffles me. If this was flipped, if Winsome Earl Sears was a Democrat, Abigail
forget
Spanberger
it.
would never hear the end of how racist that was, to not even acknowledge her opponent when she was talking.
Yeah.
And
Double standards.
it's such a double standard. The Democrats keep saying like Winsome Earl Sears wouldn't let Abigail Spanberger get a word in edgewise, but it's like she's not answering the question straight. She's being such a politician, not being authentic, and it's just also on this cap. I'm from Northern Virginia. I'm a native Virginian, so this like really piques my interest. Seeing some of the messages that were sent to the Sears campaign after this, just the racist messages from the left, and I'm like,
Disgusting.
if it's not violent, it's just like so hateful.
Yeah.
And you're just not seeing this on the right. And Democrats would have you believe that you're seeing this on the right, but you're not really. And that's our next story we're going to jump into with the Young Republicans group chat leak texts.
Oh, goodness.
If you don't really know what's going on with this, consider yourself lucky. It's just such a nothing burger, like I like to say.
Honestly,
day.
drama that's being created, and it's nothing.
So apparently texts from a Telegram group chat were leaked from a bunch of young Republican members. Some of them work for small local or state representatives, I'm pretty sure. And there were some spicy language. There's some spicy language used in it. I'm not going to downplay it. It was Nazi jokes. It was racial slurs. It was all this and that. Politico leaked the story, or someone leaked the story to Politico. They released the story on Tuesday of this week, I believe. But here's the kicker. Politico buried this in the very, very bottom of the story. They said most of the slurs and phrases used were actually, they come off as jokes. So they recognize that these are just like edgy jokes that are kind of like in poor taste, but they're trying to claim that this is violent rhetoric on the right, and where are all the people condemning it? Well, there are people on the right condemning it. We saw Winsome Earl Sears say, yeah, actually, I condemn this. What about you, Abigail Spanberger? We saw the people of the Young Republicans who run the account denounce them. And it's just such petty drama that's so inconsequential when you compare it to like what's actually happening with leaked texts and messages on the left.
My favorite response was JD Vance. And I think that's one that everyone in our nation really needs to peer their eyes over to. I know we have an image of that will pop up. But JD responded to the drama saying, with a picture of Jay Jones's text messaging saying, you know, I'm not going to respond to a college group chat. It really, to me, is just locker room talk. There are jokes being thrown around until this is really addressed. And I think that is what a true leader's response looks like, especially with the lack of accountability on the left, given real violence and real threats. And twofold with this was a private group chat with very young Americans throwing around jokes, say what it is. Yet I want to see, genuinely, I would love to see every single young Democrats group chat
Yeah.
the day that Charlie Kirk was murdered.
100%.
Would love to see that. Or how many tweets were posted saying, what about Matt Walsh? What about Ellie Stuckey next? What about Candace Owens next? What
They
about
have a list.
Yeah.
Like they straight up want to kill us.
of
Yeah.
every
Yeah.
single right-wing conservative political commentator, the president of the United States, me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure we've all received those hate and death threats. And it's like the left is trying to make the conservative right out to be these crazy, young, racist, horrible people.
The Hitler
when
Youth,
I'm like,
basically.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yet in reality, we are seeing real threats on real people.
Yeah. Never mind that though.
Yeah.
Never mind
not what's
that.
important.
And it's interesting that you bring up the Charlie Kirk point, because someone ran the numbers on Reddit the day to 2 days after that Charlie Kirk was assassinated, and the number of times that messages like "F you, Charlie Kirk," "Rest in piss," all these like terrible, really not just disrespectful, but just like genuinely despicable. I might even say demonic things that were being
100%.
said. It's crazy. It's like you can't ignore that comparison, and that's why I'm really grateful for just the new media and for social media and Elon to be in charge of X, because you can actually see these points now, because they're trying to like 2020 style cancel Republicans and these kids. And it's like, yeah, sure. Like, I'm honestly not that upset that Republicans are throwing these kids under the bus, because like you have to. It's just bad
There needs
business.
to be some level of
but
accountability too,
Yeah.
right? Like the racial slurs and the jokes and this and that. Like you're a kid, but also like
yeah.
But
Be responsible.
I
Grow up.
have a question though.
Yeah.
Because sure, like, I'm not just going to go on the street and say the N-word or like even think about that. But at what point do we get in a society where you're censoring your thoughts? You're almost in a way censoring private group messages and censoring jokes to where dark humor and jokes like this like are no longer acceptable.
Yeah.
Like, of course, it was becoming public, but to my point, left wing, I'm sure, says similar, if not the same things about the right or about their own people, praising Karl Marx of all people,
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, it feels like it's a little too much.
yeah.
Well, I can answer your question. At what point do you censor your personal thoughts and your like private thoughts? I did that my whole life. Like I said, grew up in Northern Virginia, very blue area. Went to a public school in Virginia, very liberal
sorry.
as well. Yeah, no, I'm sorry too. Well, no, I actually love it. Go Hokies. But the social aspect was very interesting, because also it was like most of my life was spent under either the Obama administration or Biden administration in college. You could not make jokes. I dressed up like a conservative to a party where you dress like the letter C once. And the people that hosted the party were like, cancel Elise. And I'm like, you guys are so unfunny. So it's just like you learn slowly and slowly just socially to censor yourself and censor yourself. And then I came to DC,
true.
found my friends. And I'm not saying these things in the group chat, but I'm also not afraid to like call it like I see it and
Right.
call out Democrats and just call out their craziness. So it really just depends who you surround yourself with. And yeah, some of these jokes were in poor taste, but it's like, come on. Like, you have to know that this is just them being edgelords.
I
and
didn't
it's
see
so
anyone
lame.
actually calling for the murder of anybody specific.
Right. Yeah, interesting.
No direct threats.
Interesting. So, yeah, this is going to fizzle out. The Democrats really thought they had something on the
They're
Republicans
hoping.
here.
They're scraping.
It's
the
kind of
bottom
funny,
the barrel.
how much
Like, if
the
this is the
left
best
is
you
obsessed
have,
with this.
They basically
Send
handed Winsome Earl Sears on a platter an opportunity to bring up Jay Jones again.
Yeah.
No.
And I don't think he's spoken on this at all.
I don't think he can.
Because if he does, everyone will just be like, here's your receipts.
Exactly. So, whatever. I think the reaction to it, though, especially with JD Vance, is been pretty vindicating to see, like, okay, we're not going to take this nonsense. And one last story that I really think we should touch on this week. Speaking of people not taking nonsense, Keira Knightley. I don't know if you guys saw the clip.
actress.
Let's just actually run this clip, and then we'll explain everything after of Keira Knightley.
Saw you're voicing Professor Umbridge in the new Harry Potter audiobooks. I was wondering, are you aware that some fans are calling for a boycott, giving J.K. Rowling's ongoing campaign against trans people?
I was not aware of that, no. I'm very sorry. I think we're all living in a period of time right now where we're all going to have to figure out how to live together, aren't we? And we've all got very different opinions. So I hope that we can all find respect.
Wow, I loved her response. She was just like, shutting that down right now. You're not putting me in a corner. Like, so sorry about that.
I love how she laughed. She's like, I haven't heard about that. Nope. And just like laughed and
ridiculous.
like giggled, because I don't know how you could not hear about that, especially her also being from England, which is really funny. But also her poise as an actress shines through with this clip, and that she's able to be like, yep, we're all going to have to like get along and figure it out. But I'm not going to like condemn this or try and say that J.K. Rowling's like horrible for trying to do this. Like, it's just...
Well, and it's like we kind of saw that, I think it was this week, maybe it was last week, with the whole J.K. Rowling and Emma Watson in like interaction, right? Where she was like, she's like, Emma, check yourself, kind of, right? She's like, I basically created the entire empire that gave you your career and made you who you are. How ungrateful are you?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
exactly.
It's like,
over common sense issues.
Yeah.
Like common sense.
Common sense. It's really refreshing to see a celebrity, you know, not being a culture warrior like, you know, some might say we are, because you don't need to be. You just need to be up there, be
Just
high
do your
profile,
job.
and do your job.
Just do your job.
And imagine trying to go up against someone who made this huge empire off of Harry Potter. Like these culture trans warriors, like,
I would
can't
honestly
do it.
love to see more people in Hollywood adopt this kind of media strategy instead of always just going to the left-wing talking points. Like, sure, you don't have to agree with everything. You don't have to actually deep down think like men and women have to be separated, which is obviously like a very conservative idea and common sense, if you will. But like, as a celebrity, it is really not your job to influence politics. Like, what do you really know about the cultural and political issues in your Los Angeles filming bubble?
Exactly.
Not a whole lot. So if you could just like say this, I feel like this is like a very even politically correct answer on both sides, where you're not shoving it down your throat on one way or the other.
like, we don't need your hot take on everything. No.
Exactly.
Relax.
And I hate that that's been co-opted with being an entertainer, singer, actress, being an activist. So it's just such a breath of fresh air to see someone do this. I really hope, like you said, more people adopt this mindset. But other than that, I just can't wait to see what comes of this mindset. Maybe more people will do it, and we will definitely let you guys know if it does happen. But yeah, other than that, it's kind of all we have for this week. Do you guys have anything else? Let's wrap. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us on Problematic Women this week. If you joined us on audio, thanks for listening. We loved hanging out with you. But feel free to watch us on YouTube and Rumble. It's a great time. We have so many fun clips, and you kind of need the whole picture sometimes. And also, we have great outfits today, like we talked about. So please,
You have to see them.
consider joining us there. We'll be dropping exclusive Instagram-only content on our Instagram, so go follow us, Problematic Women. Go follow us individually if you want to keep up with our day-to-day, if you want to see us more than once a week, because I know you would love that. We would love that too. So thank you so much for joining, and we'll see you next week.